In this episode 86 of the Daily Hustle, we're closing down the episode series talking about the 13 steps to becoming a proactive and successful person. And in this one, we talk about how you can become an inbox at zero hero.
Broadcasting from the box that rocks and Thrive15.com world headquarters, it's the Daily Hustle with Daniel McKenna.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is episode 86 of the Daily Hustle show. Over to my left, as always, Marshall F. Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. We are talking about the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. If you have not listened to or watched episodes 84 and 85, go do that first. This is part 3 of that series and the ending of that series. In summary, we'll give you the quick summary here, Marshall, before we dive into step 10. Going to give them the quick summary. 1, define a crystal clear description of the person you want to become in faith, family, finances, friendships, fitness, and fun. 2, define what makes you happy and what irritates your ideal schedule and life rhythm. That's 2. 3, define what you're willing to do to achieve your ideal lifestyle and schedule. 4, define what you're willing to say no to, purchases, habits, etc. 5, define the opportunities and requests for your time that you are willing to say no to. So those time suckers, what you're going to say no to. 6, define who you're going to say no to. If there's people in your life that offer no value to you and that is not important to you to have a meaningful relationship with them, define who those people are, say no to them. 7, define your daily planning time, your meta time, where it's going to be and the mojo associated with that planning time. 8, determine that every email, text, voicemail, and form of communication does not require a response. And step 9, create one master calendar, one to-do list, one dream catcher for your life. And now here we are, Marshall, on step 10. You excited about this?
I'm excited about 10.
You excited about 10?
Excited about 10, Dan.
Step 10. Step 10. Here we go. Step 10. Determine the weekly meetings/activities that you must schedule to stay on course. These 6 items we talked about are faith, family, finances, friendships, fitness, fun. Determine the weekly meetings/activities that you must schedule to stay on course. Lee Cockrell, when you make a commitment, write it down in the planner and then follow through. Now, Lee Cockrell had like 20 different things he listed when he was talking about what he considers when he's planning. Right? We've got our 6 main areas here, 6 big main areas. Talk about this here, Marshall, about determining what those things are, either meetings or activities, that you must schedule to stay on course in those 6 areas.
Yeah, so this is, in a way, rehashing step number 1, which is define. Now you must determine how you need to spend your meetings, how you need to spend your time. So if you want to continue to build a familial relationship, you want to focus on the F goal of family, then you need to schedule time for your family. If you want to continue to develop a relationship with your significant other, you got to plan date night. You got to define when you are spending time in that particular area. If you want to grow in fitness, when are you specifically focusing on your health and fitness? When are you working out? So you got to define what needs to be done. You got to determine the weekly activities, not monthly activities, because what will typically happen is they'll miss the front half of the month. Most business owners, they'll miss the front half and try and cram the entire success into the back half of the month. And so what you need to do is you got to determine the weekly on a rotating schedule, what is it that you need to do every single week in all 6 of these areas.
So you're saying I have to put in my schedule, I'm going to the gym these days at this time if I want to consistently make that a thing in my life.
That's right.
And it's not just when I get home from work, on the days I feel like it, I'm going to go to the gym then.
Right.
What about family? I want to have a great relationship with my daughter. Therefore, this Wednesday at 7 p.m., we're going to go get ice cream. As opposed to, I've got some free time and nothing else really is happening and my friends aren't doing anything and she looks bored, so I guess we can go get some ice cream. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You can't do it when it's convenient. You got to do it when you want to improve upon it.
And schedule those things
Yeah.
weekly.
Yeah.
What about the fun part? The fun part. We're gonna go ahead and schedule the fun.
Yeah, you got to schedule the fun. Got to schedule when you are spending time to let loose. Got to schedule the time that makes you happy, because what you might find is you're so focused on doing the other things that you're actually unhappy because you're not doing anything that's fun. Got to schedule the fun.
What about finances? There's work time, obviously. There's the work. But there's also things like maybe investing, maybe learning more about taxes, maybe learning more about your profession. Are those things that I should be scheduling? Should I be scheduling those in my calendar? Because, I mean, I've got meetings all week. I've got to get that report out. I'm pretty busy. Should I be scheduling these other things?
Yeah, you got to schedule everything that you want done. You got to schedule anything that you want to happen. If you want something to happen, then it must be in your calendar, because only the things that are in your calendar will get done.
And this happens during that meta planning time we talked about.
That's correct.
And it goes on that one calendar and one to-do list.
Yes.
And these items have been decided by previously figuring out what it is that I want to get good at, what trade-offs I'm willing to make, what makes me happy, what things I'm going to say no to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that leads us to step number 11. Step number 11. Determine a start time and end time to every day. A start time and an end time here, Marshall. What are we talking about?
So your start time and end time, you got to determine how many hours every single day that you are willing to work. And for everybody, this is going to be a little bit different. You got to ask yourself, are you willing to make the trade-offs for sleep, okay, in order to get more done? So you got to figure out how much sleep that you need every single day. And then you have a start time for when your work day will start. So that starts with your meta time in the morning. And then at the end of the day, you got to determine, when am I going to stop working and when am I going to stop my life for the day and go to bed. Okay. And then you got to hold yourself accountable to that, because if you're not careful, no, you don't define this, and therefore you begin to drift. You begin to drift into working all night and getting into an unsustainable schedule that will only prevent you from getting to that long-term goal. So in order to create sustainability for your life, you must keep yourself accountable to the start time and the end time every single day. And this is what will provide a healthy lifestyle as well, a healthy, sustainable lifestyle, start time and end time to both your work and your life every single day.
Got some Tim Ferriss quotes here. Tim Ferriss, $1 million in the bank isn't the fantasy. The fantasy is the lifestyle of complete freedom it supposedly allows. Most people probably don't I just want to have $1 million in the bank. Not because I can I wouldn't change anything necessarily. I just want to have the money in the bank. Most people, it's about, if I had $1 million in the bank, I could do things differently. Right? He says, alternating periods of activity and rest is necessary to survive, let alone thrive. Capacity, interest, and mental endurance all wax and wane. Plan accordingly. So for the people that are out there, and I would say these are a small percentage here, but the people that are working 80 hours, 100 hours, maybe it's 60 hours, maybe it's 60 hours plus family, maybe it's that don't have a time scheduled to rest, don't have a time scheduled to rejuvenate. Burning the candles in both ends, being maximally productive at all times, always go, 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 go. We're talking about determining a start time and an end time to every day. So is it important to schedule rest? Is it important to schedule time where my brain isn't going 100%?
Yeah, again, back to a sustainable schedule, you have to alternate rest and endurance, rest and work. And when you do that, you create a long-term success, because you see a lot of business owners, they try and address everything that needs to be done within the span of 1 week, and they become burnt out and they can't even go the second week because they are so tired from working the previous week, all-nighters every single night. So what you have to do is you have to alternate. What is the sustainable rhythm of my life, of my day? And so how many hours am I working? How many hours am I resting? You figure out that ratio that works the best for you, and then you go and relentlessly pursue that.
That was step 11. And it's going to be different for different people.
Oh, yeah.
I think some people can get by on 4 or 5, 6 hours of sleep. I think some people genuinely need 7 or 8 hours of sleep to be like aware of what's going on and conscious and be able to focus and be productive. Right? It's not about being busy. It's about being productive during the time you're actually working.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe getting 1 more hour of sleep helps you be 10 times more productive, and therefore makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yeah.
Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe it doesn't affect your productivity at all, and so you're using an hour of sleep for no reason other than just to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you can cut out an hour of sleep and be equally as productive, but now you just added an additional hour to your day.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to figure out what it is that it works for you. That was step 11. Step 12, learn how to process email and communications. Now, Marshall, this is somewhere that falls in your wheelhouse here. Step 1, becoming an inbox at zero hero. We'll start there. We'll start there. There's 4 parts to this of learning how to process the emails and communications. Let's start there. Marshall, why is it important to get your inbox down to 0? And then we'll get into how you actually do that. But why does that matter? Why wouldn't I just have 400 emails sitting there unread?
You got to get your inbox down to 0. That way you know that you're not missing communications and you're not leaving things unanswered. One of the most important things that you need to do is accelerate the communication that you're doing in your daily schedule. Everybody can get better at communicating. Everybody can ramp up the amount of communicating that they're doing on a daily basis in order to further communicate the expectations of what are going to be done. And when you get your inbox down to 0, that allows you to have an uncluttered life. You put anything that needs to be done on the to-do list, okay? And so we're going to talk about that here in a second, but you got to get your email inbox down to 0, and that way you're not missing things, you're not letting things go. You got to get it all the way down to 0, and therefore you're starting with a clean slate every single day.
So that was number 1, become an inbox at 0 hero. So you know you've touched on everything you're supposed to be touching on, communicating with the people you need to be communicating with. The second part is add every action item to your to-do list and then trash it. The email. Why does that matter?
You got to assign the action. You got to assign the things that need to be done as a result of a particular email to your to-do list, because your to-do list is what you're going to operate from. You're not going to operate your email from your email inbox. Your email inbox is not designed to be your daily schedule for the day. Your inbox is designed to be a communication method. It's really only designed to be a paper trail for what needs to be done. Really, you should be communicating what needs to be done person to person, face to face, or over the phone, directly to the person that needs to get something done. But the email inbox is a paper trail. And so once you have communicated via person to person, communicated via email, you put that in the trash, because now it is on your to-do list and it exists in a place where you can take action on it. Your to-do list is exactly that, a place where action happens, of things where action does occur. So you put it onto your to-do list, and then over time, you'll find that because things are not lingering in your email and things are not clogging up your email will continue to work quickly. You're never going to have to go searching for things, because ideas are then translated into action with your to-do list.
So Marshall, give us an example of how you process your emails, how you do your to-do list items from your emails. Give us a real-world example of how you handle this stuff.
So the way that I process all of my emails and my to-do list, I have my to-do list on one half of one screen, and then I have my calendar on one half of one screen, and then I have my emails all on the second screen. And I take everything from one email. I start up at the top because it doesn't matter whether I start in the most relevant, the most recent email, or it doesn't matter if I start in the oldest email, because I'm going to be answering all of them. So I go to the very top of my email list and I begin transferring everything that is an action item onto my to-do list. Then once I've got my email inbox down to 0, I look at my to-do list. This is what needs to be done for the day. And I begin slotting in specifically when am I going to do those items on my specific calendar. Okay, so my daily calendar. Now, if it's something for the future, I open up the email and, hey, I need you to show up at this place at this time. I can take that date and time, and immediately put it into my calendar. But this system is what I've found the most successful, the most time-effective entrepreneurs. This is the system that they do every single day, and because they're loyal to this process, their long-term success is very great.
So you, in your meta time, in your planning time, you fire through your emails, you find out what the actions or items are from those emails, you put them on your to-do list.
Yes.
Then during your planning time, you find those items and you say, where does this fit in my day? What do I need to get done today?
Yes.
Does it happen very often where there's like, that's something that needs to be done, but not today?
Yes.
Does it happen with something very often where you say, I had this plan from 9 to 11, but turns out this thing I've got to get done before that 9 a.m. meeting?
That's right.
So you act accordingly. You throw them on your to-do list, and you say, when am I going to get these things done?
Yeah.
The number three part of learning how to process your email and communications is assigning a person for everything. So assuming that you aren't the person that's actually going to physically do this, maybe you aren't the one that's designing the new flyer or the person that's editing that movie or whatever, assign a person for everything. Why is this a big enough part of this to point out like, hey, make sure you do this?
It's important because you may be responsible for everything on your to-do list, or somebody else might be responsible for something on your to-do list. Hey, I need you specifically. I am delegating this particular action item to you. So you're delegating it to one individual person, whether that be yourself or anybody else within your organization, because then they feel ownership and responsibility of that action item. And when they feel responsibility of that action item, then you can hold them accountable to having completed that. And so when it's one person feels ownership, and when it's a group, a number of people will feel not ownership of it because they're expecting somebody else to take the lead and actually take responsibility for that. So you must assign one person. Now, the entire group can work on said action item, but one person at the end of the day has to be held responsible. And this is the magic of accountability. And this is what you have to do for the action item. So following up with one person, one action item, one person, one action item, and one to-do date.
Which segues into this fourth thing here of the 4 things of learning how to process your email. Schedule a follow-up time for everything. Schedule a follow-up time for everything. Marshall, is this normal behavior? Is it, from what you've seen, do people normally as a business owner say, this comes in, I'm going to have Jeff handle this. Jeff, you handle this. Do they normally schedule a follow-up time?
No, normally they don't schedule a follow-up time, and this is the difference between fastidious management and micromanagement. When you don't schedule a follow-up time, there's no urgency to get something done, and so therefore you frequently have managers and business owners consistently communicating and always communicating, is that done yet? Is this done yet? Is that done yet? Is this done yet? It should be done, but why didn't you get it done? And you have this whole cycle, this vicious cycle of micromanagement. But then rather, when you assign a to-do date, it allows you the freedom to let that employee, let that A player, let that person that's responsible actually execute that item, and it gives you the freedom to let them complete it without that management and without that communication until the due date that you are going to follow up and make sure that it is done to completion and accurately, and that ultimately builds more confidence that they got it done at the right time and ahead of schedule.
That was step 12, learning how to process your email and communications. The big point of that is that you're being proactive with this. You're not reactive. You're not spending all day long trying to get through your emails and then like, oh, I can't really deal with that now. I'm going to leave that unread. I'm going to come back to that later. It's firing through those emails, getting the action items out of it, putting those on your list.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And then the final one, step 13 here, Marshall. Closing it down. Step 13, don't feel bad that you have chosen to live this way, since you have chosen to live this way. Don't let others' opinions or your assumed thoughts of their opinions change your life unless you want them to change your life. Marshall, this whole thing we talked about starting off was the 13 steps. I'm going to get the specifics here. 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. A lot of these steps narrowed down specifically what you wanted as a person, and it might disassociate you from certain people, from certain activities, from certain habits, from things that are good, for opportunities to be great, which are not really necessarily normal activity, correct?
That's right.
This is slightly abnormal activity because we're going for abnormal results. So for the person at home that says, this sounds like a good idea, I can see the validity in this thinking, I can see why this would make a difference, I'm going to make these steps, and then a week or two into it, their friends are like, well, why aren't we still hanging out on Wednesdays anymore? Or maybe it's your boss. Well, why aren't you putting in the extra time on Sundays? Or maybe it's your family member. It's like, well, why are you working late? Or why are you? This is abnormal behavior for abnormal results. For the person that's out there that's going to run into these sort of social weirdness areas, how would you encourage them? How would you speak to them about these things?
Be encouraged that success is not normal, okay? Normal is broke. Be weird, which is a pretty cool statement when you fully embrace that concept. And so understand that some friends will help support you. Some friends will not want you to go on. They'll restrain you and not want you to continue towards that path to success. So make a decision that you're going to live this life for yourself and not live it for other people. Live the life that you want to live the happiness that you want rather than other people's happiness. And that is the true key to success.
There you go. So whatever it is that success is to you, that happiness is to you, that brings you joy, maybe your joy is helping other people. And if that's the case, then you need to schedule your time around helping other people. Maybe your joy is, I want to make a ton of money. In that case, you need to schedule your time on making opportunities for yourself to make a ton of money.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that brings you joy, that brings value to you, to your family, to your friends, do those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. Episode 86 of the Daily Hustle Show. Marshall, before we get out of here, if you're a business owner out there, you're watching this, you're listening to this, and you say, I like what you're talking about, I really want to deep dive into some stuff that's going to make a big difference in my business, talk to them, tell them about the 2-day workshops here, the conferences that we have, the ones that we just had this last weekend. Talk about those conferences and what maybe you've seen some results there, some different mindsets that have come from those conferences.
Yeah, so it's awesome. Come for a 2-day intensive workshop here at the Thrive15.com headquarters. We cover everything from time management to purpose to customer service to marketing to sales to PR to management and execution to hiring and firing. It is an all-encompassing 2-day intensive workshop where we get into the nitty-gritty details with no upsells guaranteed. We're not going to withhold the best of the best information and say you can have the secret to business for a $10,000 payment. We actually give you everything. We answer every business question that you have, and it's right here in the tourist capital of the world, Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can learn more about it up at thrivetimeshow.com/workshops. Sam, show them that, thrivetimeshow.com/workshops. It is everything that you need to start and grow a business. Most business owners, they live day to day. Hey, what should I be doing? What should I do? And the business owners that just came really benefited from it because it was kind of like they didn't know what they didn't know. and we're able to help educate them on the path to success, the proven path to success, the path that has been distilled from a number of our different mentors, Lee Cockrell from Walt Disney World Resort, Dr. Zellner of Z66AA.com, one of the fastest growing auto auctions, the Epic Photography Tulsa Systems. It is incredible the things that you will learn here at this conference. And most business owners, they leave with 6 months worth of action items for their business, of things to be applying and doing in their business once they get back to their business. It is awesome. Check it out, thrivetimeshow.com/workshops. You can get a ticket there today.
thrivetimeshow.com/workshops. Go check that out. It's going to change your business in a big way. That was the 13 steps to becoming a successful and proactive person. Go out there and become proactive today. Marshall, what would you say to the person that wants to be proactive? What would you say?
Just do it.
That's what I was looking for. Over there on my left, Marshall F. Morris. Over here, Daniel McKenna. This has been The Daily Hustle. We will see you next time. Boom.